Hey, what's going on YouTube? Marine X back at it again. And yes, I gave up my little buddy here. This is the Benchmade Bugout. This is the combo edge, but this guy's a pretty good guy. Gets the job done, and he's wearing headphones because I don't want him to know that he's replaced for the last 2 weeks with a knife that cost me less than $30. So, you know, the Benchmade Bugout, fantastic little knife, always gets the job done, and we're just gonna set him to the side. I'll be back for you later. Don't you worry. He did get replaced with this guy right here. This is the Ontario Rat 1. A banger of a knife. This thing here cost me $24 at the time when I bought it on Amazon. It fluctuates up and down. AUS 8 steel. This thing has a straight back, right? So in comparison with the Benchmade Bugout, this is a straight back type of blade, whereas the Bugout is a true drop point. And so if you're looking for more of a drop point style and you're trying to find a reasonable replacement, this might not be the video for you, but it might be because you know what? Unlike the Benchmade, where it almost has a full grind, it's almost there. If you look right there, this is a full flat grind and it has been getting the job done. Now, AUS 8 steel, this is a budget type of steel. What does that mean? It's not gonna be as hard as like a S90V, but it's gonna be a lot easier to sharpen, and I don't have to send this in to get an edge. Now, the Benchmade Bugout, you know, this is the S30V, so this isn't the S90V or anything like that, so it's not as hard as that, but whenever I want an edge on my Benchmade, I send it back to Benchmade, especially because it has this combo edge. It's just difficult to sharpen and not screw it up, and you know, these things cost over $100. The Rat 1, this thing here, this thing has been getting the job done. It has 4-way clamps, so if you want to put the belt clip in different areas. So I did switch the actual belt clip to the back here because I do like to carry tip up and keep the tip right there at the top, giggity. So we do have this here. And when it originally came, the actual belt clip was down here. I just kind of swapped that around. But if you're a lefty and ambidextrous, you know, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, wear this either side that you see fit, which unlike the Benchmade, you can't flip this over to carry this thing tip down. If for some reason you're crazy like that and you want to carry this thing tip down, that's not going to happen with the Benchmade. You can flip it around if you're a lefty, if you just want to carry it a different way. Where this has 4-way point of control for carrying this thing has been a winner. But how's this thing been performing? It's pretty heavy, nowhere near as light as the Benchmade. So the Benchmade is coming in at 53 grams and the Rat 1 comes in at 141 grams. So this thing is nearly 3 times the weight. And I'm sure the Rat 2 might be a little bit, you know, lighter. The blade on this is a little bit longer than the Benchmade. And this is a little bit different when it's time to choke up. I did notice that over the last couple of weeks, whenever it was time to choke up on this knife, you know, I did feel like my finger was a lot further away from the edge if I was trying to do a precise cut, which seems to be about the same amount of length as the Benchmade. If I look at the Benchmade here, choking up on the knife, my finger seems to be about the same. Even if I choked up here, which is a little bit more dangerous, my finger's about the same amount. Whereas if I look here, on the Rat 1, if I choke up here, that's still relatively pretty safe. I can get my thumb back here on this little jipping, and I've been able to use this thing. This is an Amazon Box Warrior. Having a full flat grind, slicing through cardboard has been no issues, but I've also used it for a lot of things around the house. So of course I have this hoarder house, so I've been having to cut a lot of old electrical wires that's not hooked up. I'm not gonna shock myself. A lot of old just things that I've been finding around the house, whether it's cordage. Having a serrated edge would have been nice for some of those things, but this thing did get the job done a lot more than I expected. It's been holding its edge really well, but why would you even consider getting something like this? No one's talking about this thing. This thing has been out for years and years and years. Now, the Ontario Knife Company, they have been designing knives for over 140 years. A lot of their knives are not manufactured here in the States. This one specifically is a made in Taiwan knife, which is nothing wrong with that at all. You know, they're still putting out some good products. Now, when I got this, the pivot itself was not the best. It was not easy to open. I did have to oil it. This thing has become sort of a powerhouse when it comes to being able to carry. Now, out of the box, it felt a little dangerous. I know that feels weird, but if you take a look here, you can tell that the Benchmade obviously is not as wide as the Rat, but out of the box, the Rat just felt weird to hold, and that is because of the belt clip. This belt clip is a freaking monster. Now, I was tempted to take off this Benchmade Bugout belt clip, which I'm absolutely in love with, and to see if I can swap them over just to see if I can get that more comfortable deep pocket clip carry, because it does have the nice pocket clip carry on there, so that's great. However, because it feels so weird in the hand, so when you go to deploy this knife and you have it in your hand like this is when the action feels a little bit weird, but it does end up making the cut. You know, eventually you do get used to it after a couple of weeks, but you just want to make sure that you kind of get used to it out of the box. Is this thing going to be worth it? I feel like this is made out of some type of synthetic material for the handles themselves. It's not going to be anything high end, which, to be fair, this is made out of a synthetic material as well for the original Benchmade Bugout. So you're not going to be coming with any natural materials, anything like that. The thumb studs are aggressive. These things are some thick boys. These are, I don't know how thick they are, but you see that one there, that is pretty thick. And then if you look at the Benchmade, you kind of put the Benchmade right in front of it. Benchmade's nowhere near as thick, to the point where these thumb studs are so thick that it actually becomes fatiguing on the finger when you use this thing all day long. So that's just something else to consider. So I couldn't figure out what type of pivot it was. I don't know if it was nylon or what, but the pivot seems to work well on this thing, especially after you drop a little bit of oil on this thing. I do wish the thumb stud was a little bit smaller. Now, one thing that I do enjoy, just like the Benchmade, is that the hardware is not overly aggressive. It's not too long. So if you look at the hardware on the Benchmade, you can see that hardware there, those screws, right? And sometimes I think that's a little tacky when those screws peek out inside. They're nowhere near the blade, but you can see that hardware. When you look at the hardware on the actual Rat, I mean, look at that, nothing. You don't see any screws peeking out. If you're looking for a budget EDC knife, you're willing to give it a shot, the Ontario Rat 1 might be something you might want to take a look at. I usually don't do reviews on single EDC items. I like to talk about my entire loadout, but I wanted to challenge myself to go for something I normally wouldn't even consider purchasing, but this thing has been a banger. Comment down below. Let me know, what do you think about the Rat 1? I'm pretty sure you've ran across one before. They have been out for years and years and years. If you would be interested in picking up something like this, comment down below. I'm gonna also leave some links down below if you wanna check this thing out. If this is your first time for stopping by, thanks for stopping by. Hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.